is on.
So we are going to do the verse number 3. We are done. Narupyam asyeha tathopalabhyate nanto na chadir na cha sampratishtha aswathamenam savirudha moolam asanga sastrena dridhena chitva. Now there are two, three things, and I think we have discussed that. I'm repeating it. There is a certain description of how the sansara is. And again, this is not exactly the way it is. Sansara is known by us in different ways. One is what you experience with the help of your sense organs, right? Pratyakshataha. The other one is that you also do some inferential knowledge, like, you observe, you analyze, you infer. Inferential knowledge, anumana jnana, right? All of our science is kind of inferential knowledge, experimental. On the basis of experiments and observation, we inform, and then we theorize. And then there is something also called, what is called sabda pramana, testimonial knowledge. That is a process of validity. So you see this written in the sacred text. Say, for example, a lot of these things, to start knowing about anything, we have to start with the number system, the basic operations in arithmetic. We receive it to start with as proof. So this is called testimonial. This is one pramana, another ways of knowing. Now, what he's saying is, in the Upanishads, in the Puranas, there is a certain description of samsara is actually real. Because you will do this work, you will go to Swarga. That is one picture you have. One, you don't know whether there is a Swarga. You cannot verify it with your eyes. You cannot infer it, but you are reading it in the sacred text. That is Sabda Jnana. There is inferential knowledge, there is testimonial knowledge, whatever you read from authoritative sources, and there is what you experience through your own naked eyes with your sense organs. So, together, all these ways of knowing, you have three distinct kinds. One is the sansara, the way you read it or you experience it. Second one is the way it is written in the sacred text, talking about different karmas that you have to do. And they say that you exist here. And if you do it, you will go to Swarga and this and that, indicating that the sansara is real. It's fundamentally good to be here, and you can come back, you can go to Swarga and you'll be there permanently, some of the Vedic statements say. The third kind of wisdom is available in the Jnana Kanda of the Upanishads, or whatever is written here. Bhagavan is telling it itself. The third alternative is what is provided here. He's talking about how samsara is there. So this is a bit philosophical, metaphoric description about what we see as how it has manifested. That this is like an inverted tree, the roots are above, saying that the samsara has a beginning, and that beginning point is not available to our eyes. This is subtle, this is sukshma. Therefore, the Urdhva word is used there. And then he mentioned how these Vedic karmas, chandansi yasya parnani, and the one who knows it in an overall fashion, in an integral fashion, is the real wise person. Then he said that this particular thing, how we get stuck here, that how your connection with the external world, with the external vishayas, gochara vastus of your jnanendriyas, connectivity is the mother of desire. And then desire, then you have ichha, and then you have prayatna. Once you have ichha, you want to have it, you will do prayatna. Then you will do it. And once you do it, without knowing the secret of karma yoga, Bhagavan has clarified earlier, chapter 2, 3, 4, we have been reading it. You get stuck. So he has explained to us that you try to do the work without getting stuck there by learning the secret of doing nishkama karma with Ishvara Arapana Buddhi. Otherwise, Raga Dvesha will expand, Ahankara Mamakar will get strengthened, and you will get stuck. Therefore, he says in the end of the verse, number 2, Karmanubandhini Manusya Loke. These are the ones who is bind us. So, in the third verse, he's clarifying. Look here, this Sansara Vriksha, as I narrated in the first two verses, a, forget about this Urdhva Mula thing, the metaphor which is given here. You don't know anything about it. With your naked eyes, you were seeing Sansara in a particular way. Or you read the Karma Kanda Bhaga of Upanishads, you are getting some picture of what the Sansara is. He's saying, Narupa Masyeha Tathopa Labhyate. But however, actually it's not so. Either you experience it through your eyes, or you have inferential knowledge, or you read the Karma Kanda, not the Vedanta Bhaga, but the Purva Mimamsa, the earlier part of the Vedas, you will also get some picture about this samsara. Or even in these 2, 3 verses that I have mentioned, that this is how it has been born and this is how. Because the moment Bhagavan agrees or we accept that actually there is a samsara, here there is some jnana chakyu. I'll tell you the minor distraction from it, just small minor distraction. So you have a friend. That friend has a few good qualities, but he has some terrible bad habits. Actually, he is not even a student of your college. He was studying, he is a dropout. But he hangs around in the college. There are quite a few students like that you will meet. They hang around in the college, they dabble in politics, they come to the college, and he becomes friends with you. Trust in you becomes a friend. His purpose is different. Now, even if you get to know certain things about him, that he is a guy who doesn't attend classes, that is correct, he doesn't attend classes. And you find out he doesn't belong to your age group exactly, he's a little senior to you, that is also correct. But that doesn't help you to get rid of him. The only thing which will help you get rid of him, to know why he's hanging around in college, what is his purpose. Even if you know he's not a student, then even you may be trapped, because you will say, but he is a good guy, that is very helpful, he knows some subject, he can teach you also. But you will be able to deal with him effectively only when you know why he comes to college. What is his motivation for coming here? And somebody tells you he is working for the youth wing of a political party. Or you figure out maybe he may be a policeman who is keeping an eye on the students. He is using as kind of a prop to stay, to be in touch with the students, maybe. You don't know who is he. Until you know what is the motivation for him to come to college and to hang around and be friends with you, to help some people, you don't know his motive. What is he up to, you don't know, then you are not in a position to actually deal with him. Therefore, Bhagavan in this particular verse number 3 is now opening the inner eye of the student. He's saying, look here, you are experiencing samsara in a certain way. You also read about samsara in a certain way in the Vedas, and Vedas cannot be wrong. You read about them that you will go to Swarga if you do the karma. And I am also telling you in this first 2 verses that this is like an inverted tree, and the karmas are there, and Vishaya Prabhalaha is Vishaya Sanyoga, there is Mahatattva Buddhi, that is the trunk of this tree, all that I mentioned. But all these, if I tell you, are true, you are stuck there. Why? You are in Karmanubandhini, the sansara is there and karmas are there, you are trapped. What about liberation? Truth, no. Once you accept something is unavoidable in your life, you cannot fight it out. You have some surrender, you have some fear of it, you have some acceptance that this is something unavoidable, it has to be there in life. Then how can you get rid of it? You cannot. Small weakness, but you think उससे कुछ तो छुटकारा नहीं मिल सकता, then you can never be free. Therefore, Bhagavan is saying, look here, this samsara per se, fundamentally, ultimately, not real. That we have discussed again and again. If samsara is fundamentally real, ultimately real, there will be anirmoksha prasanga. Liberation will become an impossibility. If samsara is real, what do you mean by liberation? Therefore, the Advaita Vedanti tries to explain that, look here, the samsara is very powerfully present in our senses, in our understanding, in our so called wisdom, but ultimately, this wisdom will be discarded when we attain higher understanding about what it is. That everything can be reduced to what? To the, the adhisthana. When you kill the snake, where it hides? It hides in the rope. It becomes the rope. Adhisthana is the avashesha. The remaining part of a false thing is its adhisthana, where you had seen it. So there is a table. And on that table, you are a painter. So you had kept some brush and stuff like that. Somebody has put actually a small pencil. It looks like your brush. And you say, no, my brush is on my table. But you have actually misplaced it. Then you go, where is my brush? You don't find your brush. What do you find? You find your pencil. So the brush becomes what? It becomes the pencil, because that is the adhisthana on which you had made a presumption that that is your painting brush. Actually, it's a pencil. Similarly, the samsara and everything, the superimposition takes place. Fundamental reality is that pure field of consciousness or awareness or that chidavastu. These things are superimposed on it, like the snake on the rope. When you remove the superimposed part, you get to what is fundamentally there all the time. Therefore, he says, Narupam asyaha tathopalabhyate nanto na chadir na sasam pratishta. It doesn't have any beginning or end because it is just an appearance. Had it been real, like a dosa, so you use butter, use some materials, you actually make a dosa. It has a beginning, you eat it up, it has an end. But you saw a ghost because there is a white dhoti hanging on the branches of a tree in your backyard. And a dark night you are going, you say, my God, what's there? That's a spirit. What is the beginning of that spirit? What is the end of that spirit? That is just an appearance. So it has no beginning, no end, because this is the anirvachaniya maya. When we get wiser with a better understanding through the study of Upanishads, then we are not affected. That will continue to look like that. You have studied physics, you know why the sky looks blue. Does it look white? Because you know why it looks blue. We know why the oasis appears as if there's a lake. It's essentially a mirage. We studied it. So it will not appear as that. It will continue to appear. Please remember this. Even after Atmajnana, the samsara will appear exactly the way it is. You know somebody is a fraud, this senior who was talking to you, boy or girl. He is not a part of college. He's a young student and he's from some youth wing. He's trying to mobilize student. He comes to college. Or maybe he's from an insurance company. He's selling some policies. He has some motivation. You know it. You mean to say that after you know his truth, his motivation, he will not behave like a senior student who is trying to help you. He'll continue to do that. For a second, if you forget this thing, he will again, the waves will appear as waves, even though you know it's the ocean, it's water. This is just an appearance. I call it waves. Doesn't mean they will cease to look like waves. Similarly, sansar will persist they will continue to appear as real to our naked eyes, to our mind. We'll deal with it on an everyday basis, even after we know that's not fundamentally the truth. Knowing that is not fundamentally the truth only gives us a kind of philosophical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual autonomy, because this is based on a much deeper realization. And yet, outward behavior could be as before with inner difference. Okay, just think about it. It's with some kind of inner difference. Like the mother plays with the child and talks like the child with the child to make the child happy. She doesn't become a child. Similarly, if you meet a spiritual person or somebody who is doing sadhana, while talking to you, he will not behave like Vasishtha or Balmiki or anything that we read. He will be just like a normal human being. But internally, he is disconnected. Outwardly, he'll just behave like a normal person. A lot of Swami Vivekananda used to be so often confused about Thakur. Is he really a spiritual person? He used to doubt it for a long time. That is true about all of us. So, therefore, he's saying, because why this particular, then what do I do with this? He's saying, Asanga Sastrena Tridhena Chitva, this powerful reality, this so called powerful tree, is established in our mind because of a powerful belief system, born out of repeated experience of the same thing in a certain fashion, even though it is different. And that happens in with us in our everyday life. After knowing this is not possible, we continue to try to do it in that way. And we learn it again. But we do it again. Therefore, having said that, so what is the way forward? He mentioned in the verse number 4, let's do Ucharanam. I think we have done it. We'll do the repetition. Tatah padam tat parimargitavyam
ततः पदं परिमार्गितव्यम्
yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuyah
यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः
तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये
तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये
यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृता पुराणी.
यतः प्रवृत्तिः पिता पुराणी
Now, you can mute yourself. If you look at this verse, yatah pravrittihi prasuta purani, jahan se yatah yasmat pravrittihi, this maya. Now, pravriti and nibriti are two ways of yoga. We have studied that earlier, right? Nibriti is sannyasa, the jnana kanda. Pravriti is actually not getting stuck with reality, but pravriti marga is a method of doing things, is consciously engaging in reality without Falasanga and with Ishwararpana Buddhi. Always keep that in mind. As a sadhana, pravriti is always Niskama Karma Yoga with Ishwararpana Buddhi. Nibriti doesn't mean sitting time, but it starts with Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. Ultimately, you have Sarva Karma Sannyasa, Naishkarma Siddhi. That is an ultimate point when the whole process matures to a different level. That we have discussed already. Here, the pravriti word is referring to Maya. What moves us all? Pravartayati iti. What moves us all? That Maya Sakti. That belief that this is all real. And that particular belief that this is all real is emerging out of what? A faulty understanding. Because of our sanskar of several births. Therefore, Bhagavan is clarifying, tataha, therefore, padam, tat padam. You know, tat padam, that is that Vishnu padam, the ultimate thing. Tad Vishnoho paramam padam. That particular thing, that destination. Again, don't ask me whether Brahman has feet and leg and hand. In Shastra, to make it easy for us to understand, these words are used because there is no way we can talk about it. Brahman is avang manaso gochara. There, natatar chakshu gachati, that will come in the next verse. We cannot know what it is by describing it in words. Shastra gives us certain ways to reach there. We have discussed that earlier, that you have this lakshana like Gangayam Ghosha. You reach the lakshartha, what is intended to be grasped by us. What we grasp is no different from what we are. And then that makes Vedanta so confusing. You use the mind to get rid of the mind. And beyond the mind is that pure consciousness or pure awareness. Buddhists think that awareness is actually fundamentally real. Consciousness is always temporary. Consciousness is consciousness of something. So it is like a state of our awareness. But let's not get stuck with the words. Chidrupa is a much better way of dealing with it instead of getting trapped in the problems associated with the English language. They have a different way of describing things, but that Chidrupa, that Satta Swarupa, that Chaitanya Rupa, that is Brahman. We don't know how to describe it. So all these words will. So in Tat Padam, Tat Parimargitabyam, we should do Anveshana. We should try to reach there, find the way to reach there. Yasmin Gataha, going where means realizing which. Gati here is Jnanarthaka, knowing which na pravartanti sadhakaha bhuyaha. They don't pravartanti, they don't come back. What does it mean? Na nivartanti, na sa punaravartate, na sa punaravartate. They don't return here. Why? Because of ajnana, you have ahankara mamakara. When you have ahankara mamakara, the sukshma sarira continues to exist, and therefore you will have to be reborn. Sanchita karma, lords and lords of Sanchita karma are there. They get reprocessed, and you have more prarabdha, we come again and again. But once we know this Atma, Sanchita karma and Kriyamana karma instantly destroyed. Prarabdha karaka continues. When the body falls, the person is liberated. Tam eva cha adyam purusham prapadye. Now you might think Bhagavan is saying, I follow, he's saying. He's saying in order to make it easy for us to understand. Tam eva, tam paramam padam eva cha, and what is that tam eva paramam padam? Adyam purusham. That pure consciousness, which is the beginning of everything. When he mentions it, don't try to again see Purusha as a cause here, because the ultimate Purusha, even though the Adya word would mean that is the beginning of everything, that is true, is the foundation of everything in that sense. Brahman is beyond cause and effect. Maya is the cause. We can see that Nimitta Karana, Upadana Karana, these words are all used. For whom? For Ishvara. Brahman is a step ahead, and that is the last final step. God is the cause of things, English word, Ishvara. But beyond Ishvara, Ishvara without that Maya Upadhi, without name and form, becomes Nirvikara, Niskriya, Nirvishesha, Satya, Suddha, Buddha, Mukta, Swabhava, which are ultimately all of us are. We are also part of that as consciousness, as pure consciousness. Therefore, he's saying Yataha Prabriti, and from where I follow that Yataha Prabriti Prashrita Purani. This Maya, which has no beginning, I started there. This much we have done. Okay. Yoyam sansara vrityasya bija bhutaha padasavdena uktaha tam adyam ado bhavam adyam. आद्यम जो पहले हुआ है उसी को हम कहते हैं पहला, जो उत्स है, जो बीज है, वहां पहुंचना है, वो कह रहे हैं माया सृष्टिर्थम. इट इज अ डिल्यूजनल थिंग, इज अ प्रोजेक्शन. फंडामेंटली सच में सृष्टि हुई है नहीं हुई उस पर कोई आग्रह नहीं है छात्र का. तात्पर्य में है. तात्पर्य क्या है? मोक्ष प्राप्ति की इच्छा. Therefore, he is explaining is, so Maya Sushtiyartham Saguna Bhavam Praptam Bhaktavasalam Purusham Parameswaram ही शरणम प्रपद्ये. सगुण ब्रह्म का ही प्राप्ति के लिए उनके शरण में मैं जाता हूं. Because in Upasana Kala, only most usefully Saguna Upasana. So, Nigamananda Saraswati used to always say Sankarer Mat, Chaitanya Path. You follow Sankaracharya, the Advaita Vedanta. But for everyday bhakti, have what you shared in the group. You be like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He used to go mad. And if he didn't see Lord Krishna, he used to hit his head against that wall in Puri temple. Deep love for Lord Krishna. And sometimes used to say, I'm Krishna myself. Used to be in that ultimate Advaita Bhava. Both the things about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is true. There were moments where he would say, where are you going? Worship me. I am Lord Krishna. What Krishna are you looking for? That is his Advaita Bhava. Because he was Avatar Purusha. And then when he comes to Jiva Bhava, he has emotions. He's jumping around, he's crying, he's always doing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Both these things are there. And that is why Ramakrishna Paramahansa says Advaita is ultimately true. There is no second thought about it. But for Upasana, for connecting with the divine, you follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You do that devotion. Even himself having complete realization of Brahman, the Nirvishesha Brahman, he came back and retained his own way of connecting with Divine Mother, Shaguna Brahman. So there is no problem. And that is what the 15th chapter is all about. Tangha Devam Atma Buddhi Prakasam Mumukshurvai Saranam Aham Prapadye. This is a Shruti Vakya Upanishad. So, Taha Tang Ha Devam Atma Buddhi Prakasam. Atma Buddhi, who sort of illuminates in us the consciousness of the self. Mumukshur Vei Saranam Aham Prapadye. So, there's a glorification of all the gurus and the Acharya Parampara, and you are looking for liberation, you are mumukshu. And then you want to take refuge at the feet of the Sadgurus, all of us. In the Vedanta Parampara, individual gurus are not given too much of importance. Of course, they are messengers. But ultimately, it is the Guru Parampara because all of them have been contributing. So we always say Guru Bhyo Namaha. Of course, one person Guru is fine, but all of them are Param, starting with Sadasiva. So ultimately, you always worship the Guru Parampara. Okay. Now, the whole question is for this particular set of people who don't return, what are their qualifications? How is it that some people don't return and others keep returning? So that lakshana, as I was telling you, the person who is established in the truth, the description of him is sadhana for us, is motivating for us. Therefore, he's mentioning what are these people like. Let's do Charanam of the verse number 5. Nirmana moha jita sangha dosha
निर्माणमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा
adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha
अध्यात्मनित्या निवृत्तिकामः
द्वन्द्वैर् विमुक्तः सुख दुःख संज्ञैर्
सः सुखदुःखसंगे
गच्छन्त्य मूढः पदमाव्ययम् तत्.
गच्छन्त्यमूढा पदव्यं तत्र
Now, first break all the words because these are all adjectives of this particular person who succeeds in realizing the truth, in establishing himself at the feet of the supreme divine Purusha. If you are a Sakta, she is mother. If you are a Vaishnava, he is Lord Krishna. Or you are a Shaivite, she is Lord Shiva. But he is the ultimate divine being, Purushottama. Who are these guys? Now we are talking about the students of this whole process, this truth. How do they manage to reach there? So these are qualifications. The first word, nirmana moha, nihi. Okay. So mana and moha. Mana is the ahankara. Mana is what? Abhimanaha. Deha indriyadishu aham iti अभिनिवेश लक्षण अहंकार तत्कारणम. अब मान कहाँ से आता है? मोह से आता है. Some kind of mudhata or a faulty understanding because we are not limited to this body. This limitation is coming because again we have to attribute it to purva sanskara, a kind of obsessive compulsive disorder. You are forced to feel about something in a certain way. It's a habitual acceptance. Buddhism keeps harping on this point. Habitual conditions and tendencies of the mind. look at the whole set of words, habitual conditions and tendencies in the mind. We have to be very careful about it. That is the comfort zone of the way our mind functions. If you want to break free, first we have to understand what these are made of and how to break free from them. Therefore, he says, Nirmana Moha. Of this Abhimana, what is the cause? Moha Ajnanam. Abriti Lakshanam. What is Abriti Lakshana? Which covers up. You remember? Dhume. So there are three examples given in Bhagavad Gita earlier. One is the way. There is fire. It's covered with smoke. With a bit of air, the fire goes, fire can be visible. The second example was given, you have a mirror, there is a bit of dust on it, and therefore you are not being able to see your face. A little more difficult. Fire is the easiest thing. And after some time, if there is wind, you can see the fire. Second one is a little deeper cover up. So you have to remove the dust with your hands or with a piece of cotton. Third is the way the fetus is hidden in the womb of the mother. It's completely covered from outside. Similarly, sometimes we do not know what the self is because of very strong ajnana. Three examples were given earlier. Similarly, he's saying abriti lakshana, that is moha. Anatmani, atmadhihi. What is not atma, we consider that to be atma. That is what is moha. And therefore, that is dhi hetuhu. To ubhau, mana and moho. They are the cause of our ignorance. Nirmana moha. So this particular person, मान मोहाभ्याम निर्गताः ते निर्माण मोहा, उससे छूट गए, छुटकारा मिल गया मान और मोह से, अहंकार ममकार से, मूढ़ता से, जिसको मुक्ति मिल गई है, छुटकारा मिल गई है. They are nirmana moha. One qualification. Then is that enough? No. The next qualification is missing. Jita sango doshaha, vishaya sanga. When you are attracted towards something, then you want to have it. Or maybe physically you are not there. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina. We have done it earlier. But vasana is there. That goes param drishtva nivartate. So here Bhagavan what is saying? Jita sanga dosha. Sanga dosha unka nahi hai. So they are not having attachment to phala. Moha sustains itself because of our sustained attraction and a kind of prejudicial attachment with phalasanga. We want results all the time. The results for whom? For this body mind complex. Is it true? No. How does it happen? Mutually reinforcing. One stupidity reinforces another form of stupidity. They go together. Jita sanga dosha. Okay. So they are at least sort of based in this higher level of consciousness. They are no more obsessed with these asaktis. Then he's saying adhyatma nityaha. Samadamadi, satka sampadi sampanna, they are there. Viveka vairagya ho gaya. मानवों से मुक्ति मिल गई. Now they do Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. Therefore, Adhyatma Nitya means always established in meditation on Bhagavan. Generally, Adhyatma is what we have Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika Dukkha, Trivida Tapa. Here, Adhyatma is what? You are always orienting your thoughts to be aware of the self. And that is possible when you take the name of the Lord. कुछ नहीं हो रहा है तो नाम जप करो, रास्ते में जा रहे हो तो नाम जप करो. What is the problem? This is not a problem. Just being aware of the divine. Do it every 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You are studying. When you are waking up, take his name. Just make it a habit. Then you stay in connected. So adhyatma nityaha. Atmaramaha ye te adhyatma nityaha. But he is putting a very high definition, Sankarananda. Briefly, just take it. Somebody who is doing Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, therefore he plays maybe, okay, कुछ म्यूजिक सुनना है पढ़ाई के टाइम पे, बैकग्राउंड म्यूजिक, चलो भजन लगा लो, कुछ अच्छी चीज लगा लो. That adhyatma nitya is definitely a pure state. I'm mentioning, I'm trying to loosen it up. relax it, but ultimately whose minds are resolved in awareness of the divine without external distractions. Why? Jita Sangha Doshaha. They don't have this problem. Nirmana Moha. Then, Vinimritta Kamaha. The one or two desires still left? No. Sarvan Kaman. Again and again, Bhagavan has said earlier. You have to get rid of all your desires. You can't hold on to one or two and say that you'll be fine. That is not possible. Therefore, so विनिवृत्त काम द्वंद्वेर विमुक्ता सुख दुख संगेर सुख दुख संगे ही द्वंद्वे ही विमुक्ता ऐसे अर्थ करना पड़ेगा सुख दुख शीतोष्ण height and fire sukha dukha all that sukha dukhe hi just give me 1 second uh, so we'll just yeah so we'll start because there's another class we will do this antimantras. Let me finish it. Dvandir vimuktaha sukha dukha sanjaihi gachanti amudhaha. So they are more not mudha because they are free from these problems. Okay. So I'm just we're just finishing it. So the sukha dukkha sangehi gachanti amudhaha. So moha nirmana moha, therefore amudhaha. Padam avyayam tat. All other padas and stations in life, they will be there for a while. They are not avyaya. Only atmagyana, being at the feet of the Lord, there is no loss there. You put money in the bank, it's not permanent. House, money, relationship, name, fame, nothing is permanent. One thing where you don't make any loss in that investment is faith in the divine, love for the divine. Therefore, he's saying Padam Abhyayam Tata. And a bit more commentary will do it. And we'll do the Santi Mantras quickly. You will do the details because it's another class already started. Om Purnamataha Purnamidam Purnamudachyati
पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते
Shanti, Shanti, Sri Guru Hari Om. So I'm stopping here. Please complete this. Whatever it is. Okay.